gonna go for my condensed milk now.
And then you can rate. I think I'm more disgusted by you just drinking condensed milk.
5 out of 5. Can't go wrong.
Recommend.
Welcome back to the Chicken Not Scared podcast. Here with you, as always, your hosts, Erick Vivi. Today we're going to be talking about the 2009 film Jennifer's Body, directed by Karyn Kusama. But before we get into that, how are you, Vivi?
Up close and personal with you today.
Get away from me.
Okay. I'm excited because we have another guest.
Woo! Who dat?
Hi, everyone. My name is Yessi. I am Vivi's younger sister and Erick's sister-in-law, if that needed to be explained. I'm very excited to be here and a little nervous, but hopefully it'll be a good one. So
Yeah, we're going to have fun. Don't worry.
Well, do you want to start with how you've been?
I have been lazy lately, I think. All I've been doing in my spare time is watching a whole lot of Degrassi's Next Generation and going to work. But honestly, the highlight is watching Degrassi. And what I really need to be doing is applying a lot more than I currently am to find a full-time job. I'm still recovering from grad school that ended back in May, but I'm still recovering. So
You got this.
So if you're listening to this and you're looking to hire someone,
yeah, I'm your gal, maybe, unless it's
depends.
a sucky workplace.
Adulting is hard.
I'm not your gal.
What about you?
I am good. We did an early birthday celebration.
Yeah,
this
Sleepy
week.
Hollow.
Yeah, it was an immersive cocktail experience.
It was their opening weekend, right?
I think so. It was super fun. They gave us like 3 drinks and a shot, and then you could decorate your drinks how you liked or add as much ingredients as you want, along with there being a show.
They had fancy little containers, too. I was saying we should go get some.
Yeah.
'cause They sprayed their absinthe with a little perfume bottle.
Which is like a way you're supposed to do it. Yeah, we need to step up our game. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to jump into this because I think that I'm going to learn a lot from the female perspective, it sounds like.
Oh, gosh.
Cool?
Cool.
Is Enrique going to do it?
I think he's just going to be the background.
Yeah,
No.
do the background commentary.
Audience.
Okay.
Yes. Joining us in the background is my boyfriend, Enrique.
He thought he was too cool to join, so we had to respect that opinion.
Yes, exactly.
Well, then, let's start with creepy content. What do you got, Yessi?
I'm actually not a very avid creepy consumer, but lately I actually have been watching some stuff. And along with that realm, I've been watching a lot of this YouTube channel called Fascinating Horror. I think similar on the true crime aspect. It's based on real life, and it's very horrific true events. So things like bridge collapses and, roller coaster and amusement park rides going wrong, concert crushes where, people unintentionally start a concert crush and quite literally kill other concert goers that way.
Concert crush. I've never heard of this.
Oh, concert
when
crush
you trample
is
someone.
Yes,
isn't it?
exactly.
Like
yeah.
in a mosh pit and stuff?
Yeah.
Or if the last doors of the venue open and everyone's just trying to, rush in to get in before other people to get a better view of the stage, then they literally end up trampling others. But it's very fascinating because our narrator, he goes into detail on what went wrong. So if it was like an engineering issue that went on with the bridges or like roller coaster rides, safety regulations are then put into place because of these events that took place. So it's morbid, but fascinating. And
how does this not spike your anxiety? Because I think I would freak out and never want to leave the house.
It does sometimes, but for the most part it doesn't, I think, because it's mostly talking about like, hey, this went wrong this many years ago, but because of it, now we have these things in place to prevent it. But honestly, things like the concert crushes and stuff that are kind of just people being greedy does sort of scare me. We're going to go see 21 Pilots, and it's a standing venue, and 21 Pilots concerts are very packed. Tickets were hard to come by and things like that. So those concert crush videos in particular had me kind of like, oh, I'm kind of scared to go to this show.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have watched that one before going to
maybe,
the concert.
but
It's probably best just not to think about it.
It's best to avoid it.
Maybe.
We had a friend, he went to a Chevelle concert. A guy was climbing some banisters and then he got impaled on the organ because he fell.
Oh,
and they had to stop the concert.
Yeah, they had to stop the concert.
Chevelle's not even that hard of a band.
my God. See, that's the ones that I find especially scary, where it's just people doing things they shouldn't be doing, and it's not okay, but...
Insane.
Well, thanks for that depressing deep
You're
dive.
welcome. That's my creepy content. If you're not into that, go watch Degrassi, The Next Generation.
Traumatizing for other reasons.
Yeah, if you want some of that nostalgia, early 2000s nostalgia, I highly recommend it. Back before Drake was Drake, he was Aubrey
Jimmy.
Graham is Jimmy in the wheelchair Jimmy. We love him.
Probably a better person back then.
Oh, damn.
Yes. Oh my God, one of the best characters on Degrassi, hands down. But anyway, I'm done with my
Creepy content.
yes.
Yeah, we watched this Argentinian horror movie.
It's called Aterrados. in
There you
Spanish.
go. Thank you, sir. But translates to terrified. And I actually really liked it. It's kind of fun in the way that it's not something you should take really seriously or follow the storyline too closely. It's
Almost-
creepy. It's got creepy imagery.
The story kind of doesn't really even explain itself.
It
There's a lot of
doesn't.
things kind of going on at the same time, and then it's the credits, and you're like, oh shit, I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, but we
Dang.
watched it for Hispanic Heritage Month because we're trying to watch more Hispanic directors. Also, I think this is our first woman director on the show, so yay!
Yay.
Sucks that there isn't more women directors in horror, but it was a fun time. I recommend everyone check it out. So what do you got?
Well, we watched Marvel's What If. My thought was we would talk about Marvel Zombies, but a lot of these episodes are just super dark.
They're just depressing.
It's not just Marvel's What If, it's Marvel's What If you got depressed watching Marvel movies.
What if Marvel was made by someone very mentally ill?
One of the episodes is literally like, what if the Avengers didn't get together because they're all killed?
They're like showing actual murders.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
People dying, but murders.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
Marvel's turning a little darker.
Yeah, which is good. Zombies was a good episode. I just bought 3 pops because
Because of it?
I wanted a dead Captain America and a dead Iron Man and Scarlet Witch. Well, that's all we got. Enrique, you got anything over there?
I like frogs.
That's what
pretty fucking
Enrique
creepy.
got.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually kind of left it up to Yessi. I asked her if she wanted me to recreate the shot in this movie or do like a very bloody looking cocktail. And she said shots are her jam.
I am
Actually, the
the
queen of
shot
shots.
queen. I love them. They're the most painless and quickest way to get drunk.
I
There's-
disagree. I think they
Yeah.
are very painful.
No.
I don't love them. But, and I'm not saying I agree with this shot because I kind of think it's in poor taste, but it's a 9/11
tribute
tribute shot.
Mhm.
It looks very patriotic. It looks like those rocket pops. It is red, white, and blue. The layers are grenadine at the bottom. For the white, I mixed condensed milk and peach schnapps. The top is blue curacao.
Curacao.
Curacao. Krakatawa.
And I was gonna mix it with vodka, but Yessi has a strict no vodka rule.
No, it used to be my favorite, and then shout out to Barstool's Pink Whitney New Amsterdam vodka. It was my absolute favorite drink, and then it made me very
Betrayed you.
sick. Yeah, too quickly, too much too quickly. So yeah, no more vodka for me.
So I mixed it with rum instead. Yessi requested a chaser of just
Condensed
condensed milk
milk.
on the side for her.
Which sounds so disgusting, but
That's what she has.
I'm actually nervous for this one because it's more like a double shot.
It
It's
is
a
a
very
very
tall glass, so it's like the 4th of July shots like everyone makes now.
You literally picked your poison.
You agreed to this.
I did, yeah. I didn't expect it to be
This
this
tall.
large of a shot, though. So.
All right. Well.
Bottoms up.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Clink, clink.
Oh, it
Yeah.
does turn brown.
Yeah, if you don't finish it.
Oh, Lord. Oh, I
That was a
guess.
mixture of flavors.
What just
You
happened?
went on a little journey there.
Yeah, a lot of things happening.
You're gonna chase it with your condensed milk yet?
I think I'm actually going to go with Coke. Oh, that really was a lot of flavors.
So tell me
Okay.
what you think.
Okay, so the top layer, I don't think I tasted that much. The blue
Carousel.
Krakatawa.
Yeah.
Krakatawa. Didn't hit me much. I very much taste the second layer. Like I thought the condensed milk was very potent. And the last part really did taste like those patriotic popsicle things. But I think the aftertaste, once all the flavors kind of melt together, it's like, oh, not very pleasant. So,
I don't know.
yeah.
It's really sweet. That's it. I don't like grenadine that much. It just has a very sweet aftertaste of grenadine. Eric?
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Simply put.
What's your rating?
Oh, God. 2.5. Not even 2.5. Be generous.
I would give it a 2 because it's just cute looking, but it does not taste that great. There's definitely better shooters out there.
I give it a 1. It's not good.
It's just sweet, and that's
I think what was weirder is that it's like liquidy, but then it had a thick little layer in the middle.
Yeah.
That felt like it shouldn't be there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think definitely go with the red, white, and blue Jello shots for the 4th and stuff.
Separate.
Yep.
Good. Give it a shot.
Give
You
it
might
a
not
shot,
like
a
it.
shot.
You got some fun facts to wash away that?
I do. Some not so fun, though.
Yeah.
There was a darker cut of the film that dove deeper into the community and how much each loss left a hole in the hearts of those around them. Kusama says that the final cut ended up being a lot campier than what she had in mind. On the note of being campy, she showed the entire cast the Evil Dead 2 because herself and Diablo Cody, who was the writer, were pretty avid horror fans. So I think it's funny you would show them a campy film, but then your film is supposed to be dark.
That makes sense with the reference where she's like, is that my Evil Dead t-shirt?
Oh, good call.
Yeah.
Catch.
Thank you.
You're very
I really
observant.
like the Evil Dead, so I noticed it.
Good looking.
The film was written by Diablo Cody, female writer, directed by Karyn Kusama, female director, and had a mostly female-centric cast. This was huge for women empowerment in the industry, but at the same time, there were those who attempted to exploit the film in ways that weren't intended, including using the kissing scene to attract audiences and pitching that Megan Fox go on adult websites to do live chats.
Did
Yeah.
she do it?
No, they were even like, don't even tell her that that's what you want to do because it's not a good idea.
Even though this was a women-centric directed film, the marketing team really wanted to market this to like teenage boys. And so when teenage boys went in to see the movie, they were like, what the fuck is this? Because this film is very much about Needy and Jennifer's relationship.
Yeah, because someone was upset about the marketing using the kissing scene. She's like, I feel very much like Needy when I was growing up, and how relationships with girls back then were almost like a romance versus a thing about your sexuality. That's just how close you get.
It was a
with your
kissing
friends.
scene that also felt very out of place. Either, play up that factor a little bit more where you're insinuating that their relationship is
Partially
more,
romantic?
Yes, romantic than just platonic, or leave it out. It just felt a little out of pocket.
Either make it that Needy is trying to figure that out about herself, or don't include it.
Which it is slightly hinted at in the beginning where she's watching Jennifer cheering and one of the classmates, oh god, what does she say? You're so lesbi-gay for your best friend. But again, that's probably the biggest extent to what it's alluded to.
I don't know. That's a conflicting scene.
When they took back statistics on the reviews from men versus women, more men hated it than women did.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
This film's for women.
Yeah, well, we'll get into more later about why it would make sense that men hate the film.
Oh yeah, she's
yeah.
literally killing men.
Yeah, exactly. They're the prime victims, quote unquote victims, in this film.
Megan Fox and Karyn Kusama were both affected by the sacrifice scene. Megan was bound to a rock in a forest in the middle of the night, which was taxing on her body. But she also felt it was a representation of how movie studios were seeing her at the time, as just more like an image versus caring about how she actually was mentally.
Great point.
I feel like Megan Fox had a tough career.
Honestly, I applaud her. I've seen interviews where she talks about it, and honestly, just how bravely, I guess, she speaks on the matter. I don't know. I couldn't do it the way that she doesn't break out into fury over how she was treated by her male directors, by media. It's a lot, but it seems like she's thriving now, though, so I'm happy for her. She's having a resurgence. We're here for the Megan Fox resurgence.
This next one, it was a Vivi suggestion, but just a content warning, as this has themes of sexual assault and murder. The film storyline has a grueling similarity to the real-life murder of Elise Poller. Elise was a 15-year-old girl from Arroyo Grande, California. In 1995, she was invited by 3 boys to smoke marijuana in a local grove. Once in the grove, one of the boys used his belt to strangle her, while another used a knife and stabbed her in the neck multiple times, I believe 12. They then proceeded to sexually assault her corpse. They left her body in the grove and returned on multiple occasions to continue their assault. They planned this in advance and believed that by sacrificing Elise, they would gain power from the devil to become famous with their death metal band. Her body was not found until March of 1996, 8 months after she was murdered. The culprits were not discovered until one of the 3 boys had a change of heart after converting to Christianity.
Oh my goodness.
They were sentenced to 25 years to life, and it wasn't the first time they tried to kill her. They only chose her because she was blonde-haired, blue eyes, and she was a virgin.
So you try to sacrifice something to Satan and then find God later. I don't think it works that way.
No, it's probably just his guilt that drove him to that, and he thought he could find repentance that way, but it doesn't work that way.
Despite what this movie will tell you, sacrificing someone will not get your band famous.
No, it'll get you murdered.
It'll get you in prison, hopefully.
That band was trash.
First of all, that song, you're so over it by the end of the movie. It's a very 2009 type band, like emo.
A lot of reference to the emo pop punk scene at the time. Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, Motion City soundtrack posters also featured in Anita's bedroom.
So that's all I got.
Oh, yeah?
Not a very fun fact to end on, but.
No.
Cool. So I think it's Yessi's turn to summarize this movie in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring up the mood again, because that was depressing.
Oh my god. And if I fail, don't I have to take another shot?
Yeah, we all do.
Oh, we all do?
We all fail.
Oh man, maybe I might intentionally go slowly. Tell me when. Yeah.
What's that? Go.
Okay, so in the opening scene, we watch Jennifer, who is watching an infomercial on workout equipment, and we see Anita looking through her window. Opening lines are, "Hell is a teenage girl." Then we switch scenes to Anita in a mental institution, where we find out her nickname is Kicker. She soon after kicks one of the... oh my god, yes, orderlies, yes. And she gets put in solitary confinement, and we hear music from the speaker in the room that sends us to a flashback, as Anita says she hates the song. Okay, we are in Devil's Kettle, named after the waterfall in the town, where everything falls in the hole, but nothing comes out. We're flashing back to 2 months ago, where Jennifer invites Anita to a show. I'm going so slowly. Oh my god.
You haven't made it past the first 45
I
seconds.
didn't. Oh my god. Okay, well, she kills a bunch of dudes, and Anita gets revenge.
That was literally the first 3 minutes of the movie.
Okay, listen, you didn't even want to be an official part of this podcast, so you don't get to hate.
Alright,
That's the premise.
we have an almost as bad as Francisco summary.
Oh my god,
So
I
much
was so determined to do better than him too.
Oh,
the
man.
details just feel very important.
You had a
You
minute!
messed up the moment you started trying to read from your notes.
I know, I did, but okay.
Good job.
I'll take the L. I will take the L because that was bad. Francisco, you're not alone. If that provides some comfort, I'm gonna go with the ever reliable tequila shot.
Oh no.
Yes, please.
Alright, so Yessi's failing epically.
Oh man, I think I got the gist of it in the last couple seconds.
God damn it, Yessi.
Ooh, gross.
A brief overview then?
Please, because that was bad.
This is one of the overviews from IMDb. When a demon takes possession of her, high school hottie Jennifer turns a hungry eye on guys who never stood a chance with her before. That's kind of mean review. While evil Jennifer spies her appetite for human flesh with the school's male population, her nerdy friend Needy learns what is happening and vows to put an end to it. Dun dun dun. I wouldn't say that her friend is nerdy. She just wears glasses.
Right, it doesn't even talk about her being good at school.
Yeah, it
No,
doesn't.
it literally mentions nothing about her being nerdy.
Mm-mm.
Nice seem to be going in that stereotype, asshole. Well then, let's dive into it.
We open on a home. We find out it's Jennifer's home, and she's sitting in bed. It looks like she's journaling and watching infomercials.
She's gone through some stuff though, because her eyes look sunken.
They
Mhm.
try to make her look tired and ugly. Ugly for Megan Fox. We see that Needy is in the background, wearing a hoodie and stuff. And then we flash to a mental institution. We get Needy's voiceover that Hell is a teenage girl. Needy is in this institution because... Okay, this is something I was not clear on. Are they claiming she's responsible for the murders of the men as well as Jennifer?
Probably. 'cause
Yeah, that
that's
wasn't
what she-
clarified.
They're thinking there's this murder spree and she's the first one to have been caught like that.
Like Yessi mentioned, her nickname is a kicker. She
She kicked the shit out of that lady.
She said she needed more carbohydrates.
more complex carbs, and
Yeah.
she said, "Fuck you, carbs make you fat." It'd be cool to just be that strong though, as a teenager. Actually, throughout this whole movie, didn't know what her actual name was, but her chart shows that her name's Anita.
Ah, that's where you figured it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
because me and Eric were reading the subtitles like her name is Needy, because the subtitle showed it spelled Needy.
And I
And
think that's supposed to be a play on how
her character is
like,
dependent on Jennifer, and
which I don't know if I truly believe. We'll get to that in a second.
Yes.
It comes into play with Chip later.
The whole time I thought Jennifer was just being a dick, calling her needy all the time.
Same. I thought that
But
too.
that's what her
Yeah.
boyfriend also calls her.
They put her in that isolation room. This is a pretty fucking big isolation room.
Oh,
'Cause
pretty
she
tall.
has space to like stretch out, lay down.
Mm-hmm.
And the only uncomfortable thing is laying on the ground, but it's not
And the
necessarily
music they force you to listen to.
There's a window. You get to see the moon.
The highest class of mental institutions. scenes.
I wouldn't mind staying in there.
Needy is setting up the story taking place 2 months before this, saying that she used to be a normal girl. Now she gets fan letters from creepy dudes, perverts, or people trying to convert her to Christianity. The place is called Devil's Kettle because of a waterfall where scientists are doing experiments to see where the waterfall ends up.
That I thought was pretty cool because it could potentially just go nowhere and it's just bottomless. But when Needy's walking later in the movie, she just happens to walk past where everything's at. I was like, they couldn't just drive around the neighborhood and find it.
And she finds the knife used in Jennifer's ritual too. The point is, the stuff does come back up.
Yeah. She mentions that just 2 months ago, her boyfriend Chip and her best friend Jennifer were just normal teenagers, worried about normal, dumb things. Chip is her boyfriend. He appears to be a drummer in the marching band. Her best friend Jennifer is a cheerleader, and she is just cheering them both on from the stands.
Wear her little glasses.
Wear little glasses. She has very tiny glasses.
She does. She has very big eyes, and I feel like those glasses would not help. So basically, Needy mentions that a lot of people don't understand why a total babe like Jennifer is friends with her. Total babe.
Total babe.
And all she mentions is that Sandbox love runs deep, mentioning that they've been best friends since they were kids.
She invites her to that show, and she mentions MySpace. What a time. Who was in your top 8?
Tom, you
Top
never...
30s. That's Facebook, isn't it?
Tom. No, Tom is
MySpace.
my
Tom
face.
was
That
MySpace.
dude's an alien.
This is him sitting on his laptop watching porn.
No, Tom was... He had like a whiteboard behind him.
Yeah, and he was like,
He was just like, hey, working on something, creating my face.
I like Tom. He wasn't in it for the money.
Actually, people who are in my top 8 are like still my friends now. So.
I literally had like Never Shout Never in my top 8 and stuff, so I was lying. I'm 25 for reference here. So when I was in 5th grade, it was like popping off, and I was so sad because my parents didn't let me have one until 8th grade. And honestly, that's when it was like fizzling out already, like 2010, because Facebook started up that year. Yeah.
2009 is when I started going in my emo phase, and like metal.
I think that's when most of us started.
Yeah, check that with the references in these
Emo
movies.
phases. We should have like a throwback episode.
That's true. We should throw an emo party.
Yes.
Jennifer's like, we're going to this show at, she calls it a club, but then Nene's like, we don't have clubs. We have like a local bar. We have one bar. She says, we're going to go check out this band I've been stalking. They're called Low Shoulder. I'm after the lead singer. Nene's like, oh, I had plans with Chip tonight. And then Jennifer just stares at her until she's like, fine, I'll meet you afterwards. The next scene is Needy with her boyfriend Chip, played by young Neil.
He's annoyed that she's going. He's like, you don't even like that stuff. And she's like, but it's cool. I'm going with Jen. This entire movie is like, why do you go and give in to her?
Questioning why they're even friends in the first place. He says they don't have anything in common. Needy is arguing that they do. They like all the same things.
So here is where I'm going to give my theory about Needy. Needy is surrounded by bad people.
This is what happens when you're in a small town.
I honestly feel like Chip and Jennifer are both trying to control Needy in their own special ways, because Chip then makes comments about how Needy is dressed. It's not even that provocative, and he's got an issue with how she's
I
dressed.
did not like that, yeah.
And personal opinion, I think it's a red flag when a guy tries to separate you from your friends. So honestly, I think they are both abusive people trying to control Needy. And
What do you think about her mom?
her mom was just kind of absentee. Not to say that she was a bad mom, because she even said
She's
that,
working all the time.
yeah,
And,
I think it's just the circumstances of being in this small town. And I think that could probably play into Needy being confused about her sexuality, maybe, is that she has these two people trying to manipulate her in some aspect. That's my theory. But they do end up going to the show. It's like this weird scene of Jennifer pushing her way too hard into the door when they're like roughhousing.
yeah.
Another thing, when Jen shows up, Needy also knows when she's there. I thought something else was at play. I was like, is there something going on with Needy and maybe her like love line or something? Because her mom talks about this dream where she had Needy getting staked to the tree, and I was like, she can see visions of Jennifer.
I did make a note of that.
Something else is going on with Needy.
I was like, is Needy kind of psychic? Because she can predict when things are happening with Jennifer.
I have here in my notes that when the mom's talking about the dream she has, and she says, dreams about you being nailed to a tree like JC.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow. So
You're
they...
like, who is JC?
No, but I'm thinking
But
because they're religious.
Jennifer's name is Jennifer Check.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
catch,
who are they referring to
Yeah.
here? I like when movies do that.
I think you're supposed to get that they're like
Very in
super
sync.
intertwined.
Because that scene where they're in the sandbox, Jennifer gets cut by like a thumbtack or something, and Needy literally cleans her stab wound by sucking her blood. I think it ties back into like folklore and legend about how when you ingest someone else's blood, it like makes this
Like
impenetrable
sisters.
bond, you know, and this connection.
What if that's the reason she doesn't go full demon? Is that she had part of her blood in her already?
That is a good.
That is
theory.
good, theory.
You know, it's like maybe if it had been someone else, she wouldn't have.
Welcome to the conspiracy corner of this episode.
No, analyzing films is so fun. All the little details.
And that's why I think this movie gets a bad rep, because if you actually watch it, there's some good stuff going on. They do eventually go to this small town bar. We get scenes of Jennifer being very cool and calm and collected with every guy she comes across and every dude that has a crush on her. We even get early Chris Pratt, probably pre-Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec started in 2009, so it's possible that they were
Same time.
same time, just released a little before this. He also didn't play such a prominent character.
I literally made a note of his character and everything, and he never came up again.
He did not.
They just mentioned that he's dead off screen.
No.
Yeah, when they're talking about who died in the fire, they say his name, and she's like, "Oh, they got
Roman. His name was Roman.
No. Later, she's like, I'm fucking a cadet, which means she's got connections with the police, so I don't think he died.
I don't think he died.
She said, "I'm fucking."
She said,
I'm a fucking cadet.
I'm fucking no.
Her side story
Yeah.
in this movie is that she's like,
That's what, when she said it, I was like, "When the fuck is she doing this?"
I want to see that movie.
I'm fucking a cadet, and I have it in here, Roman Police Academy.
I thought she
Yeah.
was a cadet.
Plot twist.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
We get this shot of Jennifer making her way up to the band, and she's not her usual confident self when she's talking to them, which is odd. The band is called Low Shoulder, very pop punk band of the times, like we mentioned.
I thought she did it on purpose because she's like, use your boobs, the one thing that'll get you where you need to go or whatever. So I thought she was using it to just
Yes,
get the
she's like playing coy to get their attention.
This is where we get the inspiration for the drink tonight, where she says she's going to go buy him a drink.
The red, white, and blue tribute shooter. Ah, delicious. Interesting to note here, she says that if you leave it sitting for too long, it turns brown. We had ours sitting for like a good 20-30 minutes, and it didn't turn brown, so interesting.
Once you mix it, it does.
It does turn brown, yeah.
I thought it was funny that when the band shows up, she's like, you could tell they're from the city. Look at their hair.
Yeah.
And their guy liner.
But as Jennifer goes to get them the shot, Needy overhears the band members talking about how Jennifer is probably
A virgin.
I think that Needy was already suspicious because when Jen goes to talk to them, Needy's like, why did you guys come out all the way over here? And they're like, oh, you know, we have to connect with our fans even in shitty places.
Yes.
Which, yeah, piece of shit band.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Shitty dudes.
Thinking she's being a good friend and defending Jennifer and saying that she is a virgin.
Definitely a virgin, yeah.
It beats sleeping with guys like you. Unknowingly, she is giving them information that
They
kinda
want to hear.
Yes.
They want Jennifer to be a virgin.
Yes, but Needy tells Jennifer what they just said. Jennifer's like, I'm not even a backdoor virgin.
Just confirming that she's not a virgin.
Yeah.
At this point, the band plays, and Needy and Jen are holding hands. Needy's very mesmerized by Jen, but Jen's also very mesmerized by the band.
Put under a spell almost.
Yeah, I don't get it. Is there a reason or explanation for why she was so
That's a
in
good
shock the
question.
whole time?
She's like in a trance almost watching them.
The only thing I could think of is that the band had already selected her and was trying to do some occult things to her to make her susceptible to the ritual. That's not said at all. It's just the only way that I can explain her attention to this band.
And they make it a point to show that she lets go of Needy's hand because she's so attentive to them playing. And Needy looks very salty that she stopped holding her hand.
I interpreted the opposite.
Right, Needy pulled away?
Needy was the one that pulls away from her.
They focus on their hands, and you can see that Needy, as she pulls her hand away, has even like the presses of her of
Because Jen's
fingers.
holding on to her so tight.
Really?
She's like, looks at her kind of like, ugh, and pulls away. So I guess different audience members can
interpretation.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I wonder why she was gripping her so tightly.
Because
The
she
trance.
was in a
Trance.
maybe.
But why was Needy put off by that and let go, you
'Cause
know,
she
wouldn't
kinda
she?
saw the band as like jerks from the beginning, I think.
Oh,
And Needy
no.
was also noticing the fire way before. anyone
Oh,
else.
before it happens, yeah.
Yeah. Again, because she might be kind of psychic. She feels something bad going on.
Mhm.
Apparently there is a director's cut of this film.
The darker version.
And it really just solidifies Needy as the main character, where this cut plays up more Megan Fox because she was the more popular actress at the time. But even with the cut, I very much feel like this film's about Needy.
The fire starts in the bar. It looks like it's coming from an outlet and then it spreads under the curtain and then it just fucking goes haywire out of nowhere. The ceiling also bursts into flames and people just start running. It almost reminded me of like Carrie when just the chaos, we were getting trampled. I think they focused in on one girl who's getting stepped on.
Content crush.
Full circle.
Sorry, had it.
Full circle. Jen gets saved by Needy and they walk outside. You see Ahmed's character, who is the exchange student from India.
Yes.
And it looks like he gets crushed by the ceiling. So they're all outside, and Needy's trying to get Jen out of this trance. The band approaches, and the main singer,
Nikolai.
he's just drinking a cup of whiskey.
And he's like, man, that was crazy. Way too chill for someone who just witnessed a fire.
Y'all want to get in my van, though? Jen's like, sure. And Needy's like, no. And
Don't do
she just goes
this. Yep. Jennifer's really shaken up and a little bit drunk, but I think it was mostly the shock from witnessing the fire. The lead singer really takes advantage of this, and he even makes a point of saying, like, she's shaken up. Great. This is perfect.
We don't exactly find out what happens to Jennifer until after, but like this moment, especially knowing that this comes from a female director, I think is a moment that a lot of women probably experience where they're maybe at a club or bar having a good time and then the untrustworthy person tries to take them into a van or tries to get them away from their friends. And I think every friends group, at least I can say, has had the person that had to be like more sober than everybody else and keep everybody together. I think it's a very like girl code thing.
And it automatically, as sad as it is, I think for a lot of the female viewers, we see her as this van door closes and we automatically think like, oh, we know what happens next. They assault her, they rape her.
In a way, they do.
Well, the guys, when they have her in the van, don't even give a shit about her as like a female. They're like,
yeah,
oh, I hate girls.
Yeah,
absolutely. They don't really give a shit.
Because she flat out asks them, are
like,
you guys
rapists?
rapists? But it's just interesting how it's even a notch above that.
They're stabbing her, and I think we talked about this in previous horror movies. Serial killers that stab people, it's often like a case of them being impotent, so the knife stands for something else. So this can be interpreted as that. Or not, they are just assholes sacrificing someone to Satan.
Because that's what it seems like. They didn't even give a shit.
I think,
yeah, they were just trying to get rich and famous.
but I think considering the real life case that it's based off of and how they do sexually assault the original girl, I do think it's metaphoric for that.
Is it explicitly based off that case?
So the film came out, and then true crime buffs were like, this seems very familiar.
It seems too similar.
Another thing I didn't include in that fun fact was that the kids who did it went to school and were bragging about it, but no one believed them because they're idiots, yeah.
People really need to do their jobs. A little better on that one.
Seriously.
What I thought was like a really weird, funny thing that she said, he's skinny, twisted, and evil, like this tree I saw one time.
I love when movies do this. It flashes back to this image of Anita as a kid, and she's looking at this skinny, twisted tree. And the way the band's famous song is through the trees, and at the dance, we have all these trees lit up and everything, and how our mom sang in the dream, you're pinned to a tree, and like these motifs that come through.
Needy goes home super freaked out, calling Chip, saying everything that happened. Like, not only was there a fire, but then her friend was taken in this van, and she kind of doesn't know what's going on. She hears a person at the door. She's like, stay on the phone with me.
She goes out to the front. There's a shadow in the back that you can see because there's light shining in behind her. When she does close the door, she starts to hear thumping. She goes to the kitchen, notices that the faucet's on, closes the faucet, and behind her, Jennifer is there smiling with blood in her mouth.
She has a very good creepy smile. She doesn't really say anything to Needy. She just goes to the fridge and starts eating a whole rotisserie
You have a whole rotisserie chicken.
and then vomits all over her.
Oh, that
Spiky vomit.
scene is so funny because while she's doing this, Anita's like, my mom didn't really want anyone to eat that chicken yet.
She got it from the Boston market.
Yeah.
Poor Needy.
I know. Oh my god.
But the vomit's
So
like this
good.
black sludge that almost seems like the venom.
Spiky.
It
It's,
spikes up and it
It
makes
moves.
Needy runs to her cell phone to call for help, presumably 911. Jennifer pins her to the wall, and she's... Again, this is where I thought it was like kind of queer baiting, because it's alluding to her eating her, but instead they make it very sexual. She's kissing her neck, and she leaves right after that.
We find out when she finally explains what's happening to her that she was almost gonna eat her.
But she's like, I couldn't do it because I'm such a good friend.
Yeah, because I love you so much or whatever.
You were saying that Jen's almost like a parasitic friend to Needy because she uses her a lot. And you see that when they're as kids in flashbacks too. They're playing with the dolls and Needy's like, why do you always give me the ugly one?
It's a very like mean girls thing to do. But she is understandably shaken up. She goes to school the next day and everyone's talking about the accident that happened.
Jennifer comes up to her, completely normal, in her cheerleading outfit. When the night before, she's covered in blood. She looks like a mess. She's like, hey, like, what's up? And Needy's telling her, like, dude, last night, like, you ate the whole rotisserie chicken and, like, threw up this black spiky shit. And Jennifer tells her she's over-exaggerating.
She
She's
shows
like,
her
oh
nails
my
that are
God.
covered in the blood
Yes,
sludge.
and she's like, oh, you need a manicure. Just brushes it off completely.
I would also like to point out that this film is 2009. There are some comments in this film that are very not okay. She makes comments about how she needs a certain person to fix her nails, and there's other weird things.
Yeah.
I think they use the word, like the R word, mixed with another.
I
Like,
should've written
watching
it down.
these movies, you're just like, oh god.
As if that makes it better. Yeah.
There was the lesbian slur.
Lesbian gay, yeah.
A lot of the people who worked on Juno also worked on this film. I hate this time period of the quirky teenage film where they make up their own language.
Yes.
Juno was like heavily guilty of this, and then this film also kind of makes up words.
I feel like Clueless started it, right? And it did it so seamlessly. It did it so well with as if and these phrases that were just so iconic.
But they were actually used. Like, nobody spoke like this in 2000.
Yes.
Well, at least
I think a lot of directors tried to mimic what was done in Clueless, and it just didn't.
Well, when you get a bunch of 30-year-olds to play teenagers,
Yeah,
that's
it
gonna
just
happen.
wasn't
That's
happening. It just reminds me so much of Mean Girls. Like, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not gonna happen.
yes,
I'm
oh
just
my
like,
God.
this isn't gonna happen.
So the teacher comes in and it's like, it's a dark day, because this again plays into that darker cut of the film where they were going to show that the community was heavily affected by the loss of all these kids. The teacher is like naming off who was lost, and you can see clips of people in the hallways crying.
And he mentions one of the people that we lost was our foreign exchange student, Ahmet, from India. And he's got a mechanical hand.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna point out.
I don't know this.
What was the point?
What was that about?
They show it
He's gonna
a
fall
lot.
off.
The camera cuts to it a lot. So I'm like, this means
It's
something.
Candyman?
something.
But I don't know what it means.
Is it a Candyman? We haven't seen Candyman.
I
The
don't
hash slinging slasher.
Yeah, it was
That
like,
too.
After class,
she's-
Chip and Needy talk, and Needy doesn't know what's going on, so Chip's like, dude, you're probably disaffected like everyone else. You need to see a shrink or something.
And this is where both Jennifer and Chip are not that great because they are gaslighting Needy. As she's telling Chip about what happened, she comes across one of her friends, Colin.
Colin Gray.
Colin
Gray.
He's like, hey, I heard that you were there that night. I am just like really glad that you're okay. She's like, oh, cool, thanks. Chip's kind of like the typical suspicious, jealous boyfriend. He's like, since when are you friends with him?
Colin Gray. I feel like it's important to mention here, Colin's whole character, again, alludes to the whole pop punk emo scene that was really thriving at the time this movie came out. He's got the black nail polish, the eyeliner, the lip ring, the
Very hot.
all that jazz.
Very hot topic.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what Needy's telling Chip. Is like, oh, he's different. He's deep. He's dark.
I've
You
read
know, that's what I
his,
like about him. We're in creative writing class together. He has all these interesting ideas.
You said that he does the typical jealous boyfriend thing, but that's what you would do if I had like a friend who was a girl.
Well, it's a
Yeah.
typical jealous partner.
You say it like a bad thing.
Oh, no, I absolutely would do
It's,
the same.
yeah, no. Because even as it happens, Needy's looking at him like, oh, you're jealous. Like, I like that. After the Colin Gray scene,
We get the scene of
Jonas, a football player.
Staring off into the football field.
he's really upset because one of his best friends died in the fire. It reminds me of Halloween with the wide shots of the villain coming. You see Jennifer walking towards, but then it like cuts and she's like coming up on him on another side completely. Jen has this conversation with him basically saying that she was one of the last people to speak to Craig and that he would want us to hook up because that's the last thing he told me.
That we would make a banging couple. And yeah, even Jonas is like, he said banging?
Yeah, that's weird.
Which didn't happen. Obviously, Jen's manipulating him.
She leads him into the woods to make out. Woodland creatures start appearing out of nowhere. I wrote down demon Disney princess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
Whole
much.
Swatching have to do with demons. I didn't understand that.
She said they're waiting, so I think they were waiting to get the remains of him.
When have you ever killed something and see all animals swarm you like that?
I mean, never. Have you?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Flies.
Flies.
Interesting to mention here too. Jennifer's heart gets referenced a lot here. She tells Jonas, putting his hand on her breast, and she goes, "You feel that? My heart is broken." And he says, "Mine is too." That's essentially what gets her to kind of seal the deal.
I can see how guys gave this bad reviews because it plays into that guys, no matter how sad or how affected they are emotionally, will always
They
think with
still
their
want...
brotherhood. Chip, after being so affected by Needy, breaking up with later.
Yeah, Chip's not great.
Chip starts kissing her, and then later, after already having made out a little bit, it's like, no, I can't do this. Like, you already did.
You already made out with her, yes.
And
then this guy is like, I miss my friend, but also so does my.
But it's so interesting as the animals are approaching. I think it's comparing it to this animal instinct that we say that men have. And so it's like a metaphor for that. Or it doesn't matter how sad a man is or whatever, like he's still down.
I was going to bring up this fun fact. When the body is eventually found, because the teacher who has a claw for a hand hears Jonas screaming and thinks it's just like a student...
Kids mourning,
which like this pure teacher...
Let it all out.
But then he hears more screaming and gets suspicious and goes to check it out. He finds the body with a deer eating its stomach, which I thought was odd. Because I don't think deer
are herbivores.
Yeah.
Demon deer. The scene when the body is discovered and the parents find out what happened, the father is actually played by the voice of Patrick Star. In the uncut version, Patrick... I'm just going to call him Patrick Star. Because I don't know
the voice actor of Patrick Star.
He's cursing whoever killed his son, but the scene is cut, and if you actually watch the scene, it sounds like Patrick Star cursing.
You gave me the ugly!
Which is supposed to depict a very sad scene, obviously, but I think...
It is a sad scene.
Audiences who know this voice actor as Patrick would not have taken it seriously.
Yeah, they cut it out. I thought it was a very sad scene when his mom's crying and on her knees she's wailing, and his dad just looks like, whoa. Yeah, this happened.
I was thinking about how the mom's knees buckle, and I was thinking I've never been so sad that I've fallen to my knees.
Absolutely.
It is that
to knock you off.
So I think they made the right call in not keeping that scene in, just because so many people from our generation.
I think it would have made it more comedic.
It would have when they were aiming to make a dark,
impactful.
movie.
Because when I watched it, I was like, damn,
yes. The next scene we have is Jennifer swimming in the lake. They're playing very menacing music.
She's naked.
She's doing it to wash off evidence.
It's funny when you don't watch it from that point of view. Because I think when I was younger, I did watch it that way. I was like, what's with this sexy scene? But today I was like, oh yeah, she's washing off evidence.
When you listen to too many true crime episodes...
Because she washes herself off again later in the pool. And that's what made me think, like, this has more symbolism than I originally thought. Because you know how they're saying, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but she's like, oh, like JC, Jesus Christ, baptism, holy water, cleansing herself of her sins.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jen calls Needy afterward and is like lighting her tongue on fire and then saying that it heals. That was pretty cool.
Iconic scene.
It is, but I feel scrumptious is like used a lot.
Needy's like, what the fuck? People are dead.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
But she does. I'm guilty because I'm just like, damn, she looks bomb in this scene. Like, she's like glowing for real. I think they do a really good job with those visuals. It's interesting, like the intricate little details, because I even notice when she's just murdered someone, her lips are like very full. And when enough time has passed and she's murdered someone, they get very thin and like brittle. Yeah, exactly. But she's feeling herself totally.
I am a god.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, iconic quote.
When she's on the phone with Jen, though, Needy gets a call from Chip, and Jen's like, oh my god, dump him already.
Again, I think this is one of those scenes that depicts the power struggle between Chip and Jennifer over Needy. And I think one of the reasons Jennifer eventually does go after Chip is because she's like tired of this. But Chip calls her saying like, yo, I need to talk to someone, something bad has happened, and we get Needy going. She's like had it with Jennifer. She's like, I don't know what you're going through right now, but I'm gonna go hang out with Chip.
We cut to a scene in class again where Jennifer's looking like doo-doo for Megan Fox's standards. And this is 1 month after killing Jonas. Jennifer says it's probably wearing off. And Needy goes like, what the fuck are you talking about? Jennifer's like, forget it, right? Change the subject.
The teacher's also talking about the dance coming, and that low shoulder has decided to give back to the town where the tragedy happened.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, we're going to give back 3% of all our proceeds for the album because they made that song.
Through the trees.
Through the trees.
And Edie's like, what about the other 97%? Like, isn't that a little fucking, like, they're just using us
Yes.
and supporting us? Yeah. And that other girl in the class is like, no, it's not true. They're great.
It spurs this whole fight between the same girl in the beginning of the movie that accuses Needy of being a lesbian gay. She's saying, we need this band more than ever, right? You know, they're helping us heal, they're whatever. But Needy is the only one being critical. And I think that goes back to Vivi's point of her just being continuously gaslighted through this whole film when she's the only one that has like the slightest clue of what's going on.
She was literally there.
Yeah.
Oh my
Exactly.
God, yes.
And she's trying to tell this girl, and she's like, I saw it. It's true. It was on the Wikipedia. Which, what a sentence.
The
for the time.
Wikipedia.
What a sentence.
When Needy is basically narrating and saying that a month has passed, the line that she says that is important is that everyone had a real tragedy boner for Devil's Kettle. And I feel like that's kind of relevant today because it could be a commentary on the way true crime communities treat people's real lives.
Yeah.
Which is interesting now.
You know, I think that there's more to that, though, because there are towns and there are people who will use things like that to make their towns blow up on a map.
I guess alluding to creepy content, I've been watching Eleanor Neal on YouTube, as I recommended. Oh my god, the case with, her last name's Funko? She's this Asian girl, 41 Days of Torture. 40. Yes.
That's a horrible story.
It is, but I was browsing through her comments and, you know, the comments, they happen after the video ends and they're commenting on the whole video, right? And someone had the audacity under someone's comment to go, spoiler alert, I haven't finished watching the video yet. And someone replies like, bitch, this is someone's real murder. How dare you say spoiler alert like it's a movie?
That's true.
Like,
oh my
that's,
God, that is so
I was
messed up.
so sick by it, dude. Like, I was like,
so many things are wrong with that statement.
like, spoiler alert.
This was someone's life.
I don't know, man.
After the scene where Needy points out how sketchy Low Shoulder is, Colin goes to ask Jennifer out on a date. I thought this whole interaction was pretty funny because she was just like, oh, can I borrow your English homework? On Hamlet, she was like, is Hamlet gonna fuck his mom? And Colin's looking at her like she's crazy. I think one of the things that's cool about Jennifer's character is you think she's dumb, but I think it's all an act.
Yeah.
Because that's very clearly an
Oedipus
reference.
Yeah.
She knows the lit enough to know that this is one of those stories, and I did not know that in high school.
Yes.
She also says this thing that I think shows she's smarter than she leads on. She's like, PMS isn't real. It was invented by boy media. And even though she says it so like
Casually.
She's right up on it.
It was
she's on the
so
money.
on point. I did love that line too, you know, because I feel like generally as girls, I think we hide it very well because we like kind of know that we have to, right? We can't let on that it affects us as much as it does. Even Colin doesn't pick up on this, right?
He's like, I wanted to ask you on a date to see Rocky Horror. She straight up says, I don't like boxing movies. And he's looking at her like, oh my god, you're so fucking stupid. I think she knows that acting stupid is the best way to get out of a date. Side note, I love Rocky Horror.
Let's do the hand jive. Oh my god. Let's do the time warp again.
Yes.
It's so good.
It's not until after Needy says, oh, he's super nice, actually.
That
like
she
him.
likes Colin. Yes.
Little does Needy know she's sealing his fate by saying that she likes him because he's nice.
So she goes back to him and is like, yeah, I'll go on the date with you. Needy decides to go hang out with Chip that night. Jen's telling Colin, like, meet me at this address. I'll see you there. And he's playing rock music, I guess hyping himself up for this date, but he goes into this shady-ass neighborhood. You were saying it seems like a production area where they're building the houses?
Yeah, it seems like, you know, when they're building condos, but they're not done. That's what this neighborhood looks
Still
like.
in development.
He finally gets off, and I was thinking about how this is pre-Google Maps on your phone, because he's got like a flip phone in his hand.
Yes.
It sounds like, I can't imagine having to look for addresses this way, because he doesn't even have MapQuest in his hand. Like,
Baby boomers are shaking their heads like, oh, those damn millennials. miles. They can't get anywhere without
I don't know where
GPS.
anything is. I used to hate when my
Prints
parents...
out the map quest.
Yes, that's where I was going with this. When my parents did not know where we were going, and we had to print out MapQuest for them, and they even still checked the MapQuest like they didn't believe it. They're like, "No,
God.
I shouldn't take this road," and I'm like, "That's what it says."
Took
I
us
just
like
printed it out.
an hour before
Yeah.
even leaving. Yeah.
Colin pulls up to this house and is trying to shine his light. And meanwhile, Chip and Needy are about to have sex. It's very awkward. You guys pointed out that it's like these adults that have to act like teenagers having sex.
For the
really
first
awkward
time. Yeah.
Wasn't their first time?
I don't.
It
think
wasn't their first.
No, because he says, "Oh, I bought more condoms."
Yes.
Implying that they've
Yeah.
done it before.
But they were still very awkward about it.
Does he say something about the flavoring?
Oh, he's like, "I got the kind that will feel good
Like,
for girls."
yeah,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Very cool.
And then he just slaps it on.
She's like, "Wow!" Like it's a very funny scene where she's looking under the sheets, like what's happening, and he's like trying to put it,
mesmerized, and he's like,
having a hard time.
shit, am I doing this right? Yeah.
As Colin is like, first of all, going above and beyond to meet Jennifer at this date because he shows up to a sketchy location. There isn't a lot of light.
He has to break in.
He's wearing a tie.
And he still meets her there. I was like, that's too much to go through for a date.
He was mesmerized by the Akon music.
That's true. You know, Akon will get you every single time.
Yeah.
As she's like weirdly seducing him, Needy and
Young Neil.
they're doing it. It's very awkward. And she's having a vision. She sees the quarterback, Jonas.
He almost looks regal. He's in this king's throne, and that's when we see Jennifer standing over him like a gargoyle.
There's also blood pouring out
Yes.
the ceiling.
Isn't there like a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of reference? I thought that was.
Oh, like
Yeah.
when Johnny Depp's character dies, the blood's like...
Yeah, like
Splashing.
slashing and
Yeah.
everywhere. And
It could be. I think there is a lot of horror movie references that
I think
we
so.
probably didn't catch.
Yeah, that's a good one. She feels like it's dripping on her face, but she's also crying
But
and
it's
she's
not.
not catching the vibe at all.
She's kind of squealing. The stage right before screaming. And Chip's thinking like, damn, I'm doing such a good job.
He
Like
really
she's...
is hyping himself up
yeah.
at this point.
I think that's what makes it worse later when he's like, I made love to you for 4 minutes. I was like, bro, what?
That's not something to brag about. He's like so happy and he's like, am I too big?
Yes.
Like, dude, that's not even what's happening here.
That's not what's going on.
Meanwhile, Colin finds Jen. He's like, this isn't your house, is it? Like, oh, bro, how long did it take you to figure that one out? When you had to break in the front door that had a bunch of wood on it?
Mhm.
No windows.
Yeah. But Colin is nervous. Jen is trying her typical normal moves, but Colin is
But it's...
different.
Yeah, he is different. I think it's worth mentioning. He's holding a rosary, and while Jennifer's kind of making his advances to him, he's nervously clutching it. He's rubbing the beads. He's definitely showing all the signs for someone that's apprehensive. But he's really clutching onto this rosary like it's gonna fix everything.
It plays into the fact that because he's like the quote-unquote emo kid, that he's more in tune with his emotions. And I don't like when movies do this because it basically makes it so that a boy who is emotional is weaker than the rest. You didn't have to make him this type of character to make him play this role.
I feel like Colin is the most sympathetic character that she does kill.
this too.
Because he's just nice. He's not trying to
Yeah.
be a jerk to
He just wanted
me
to
or Jennifer.
go on a date with her.
When Colin's finally getting attacked by Jen, he notices that her eyes change into that yellow
Yes.
Cool
demon
effect.
look.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is very cool.
Jen repeats some things. I need you scared. And
Yeah.
I need you hopeless.
You're not hopeless enough. You're not afraid enough. Presumably, her victim being more fearful helps her gain more power. It helps her be more full, quote unquote.
And again, I think this is one of those scenes that paints the metaphor for sexual assault where it's not so much about having sex,
Yeah.
it's about having power over your victim.
Exactly. While Jennifer is drinking his blood, it zooms in on his rosary and it's broken. And so that's what makes me feel like it's a reference to a lot of horror movies. Particularly, I think like The Exorcist, when they think like, oh, an exorcism will help, right? We have the Bible, we have the rosary, whatever. But once they destroy those sorts of artifacts, it's like game over. Like your protection's gone.
I just
So.
remembered the phrase that the demon in The Exorcist says, and it's like, today's a good day for an exorcism. It's
I
like,
want a t-shirt that says that.
Yeah.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Yeah.
Also want a t-shirt that says that. I remember watching this scene back in high school. They don't actually show the kill. They show the shadow of the kill. And I remember being like, oh my god, Megan Fox is so skinny because her shadow is like tiny.
And one of the fun facts, Megan Fox lost weight for the role and got down to 97 pounds.
Yeah.
It makes sense, because even as we were watching this, I just kept thinking that, like, she looks so thin, but,
you know
like,
what's
not
funny
even.
is I remember watching this in high school and did not think that she looked skinny. But the 2000s was the time of low-rise jeans. The
It
bane
really
of
was.
our existence, where you had to be very skinny. And you saying, like, oh my god, she was 90-something pounds. I was 90-something pounds my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
I was a bobblehead. I was a floating head on a skinny body.
I was like,
it
was true, and gosh.
The early 2000s was not a good time to be a teenager.
No, it wasn't. I'm very petite. I'm very short. I'm like 4'8", right? And at this time, I was like 82 pounds, and that was the norm, which sucks.
It was normal.
It was normal.
Megan Fox's character at one point has the look that I would categorize this time in my life as unhealthy. Your teeth and your mouth are protruding.
They're
because you're
protruding,
too thin.
and your lips look so big, even though they're not. And your nose looks so big. Like, all your facial features look too big for your face. Because it was normal. It was normal to be...
fucked up.
It is fucked up to be so thin. Because I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's what we're supposed to look. And I'm watching it now, like, these girls are so fucking thin.
They're
Like,
really
that's not okay. Like,
No.
That was not a good time.
Yeah.
The whole Mean Girls, Regina George. I need to lose 5 pounds.
And they look
Trying to lose
normal.
5 pounds.
Yeah.
And that was, like, everything.
Anyway.
Yeah, so anyway, Colin's dead.
So Colin's dead.
Colin-
He's good soup because she's drinking his blood.
Needy leaves crying from Chip's place and drives off. Almost runs Jen over because she pulls out of the forest. And then just drives off. She's like, fuck, I didn't care that was my friend. Jen jumps onto her car and smashes the window in.
So Needy gets home, and she's calling out for her mom. That part really hit me, because that just shows, like,
The teenagers.
when you're afraid, it's like you really regress, and you want your mommy. She's on the couch, and she's sobbing, and she's like, Mom, Mom. Even though she knows her mom's at work. You can't help but to sob, like, for your parent, because that's, like, your innate response. She goes to her room. Jennifer's in her bed. Normal.
Just
Like,
chilling.
looking as normal as ever.
Needy screams and they make up.
Obviously, the natural progression of things.
And this is where she tells her, you're wearing my Evil Dead.
Sure. It's weird because it's such a girl thing of like, you stole my clothes.
Yes, it is.
We do get exposition from Jen saying
Finally.
this is exactly how it all went down. And she talks about the night of the bar being burned down. Low Shoulder took her in the van. They finally tie her to this boulder over by the Devil's Kettle, which again is that whirlpool.
The waterfall.
I just want to point out how I feel like this is very important to this film. The girls constantly think that virginity is going to protect them because they're like, are you sure she's a virgin? And Jen's like, yes, I'm a virgin. I've never done the sex.
She's pleading with them. She goes, I'm not the girl you want because I'm so inexperienced. But paradoxically, that's exactly what they want. It's so sad. I don't know. It makes me so sad.
But the waterfall.
When the band Low Shoulder is doing the ritual on Jennifer, the lead singer is explicitly telling her what they're going to do to her beforehand. He says, we're going to sacrifice your body to Satan. On this day, we're sacrificing Jennifer's body to Satan. So it's like a direct call out to the movie's title. Yeah.
These dudes are really weird because they're too into what they're doing. They don't even really give a shit. They seem emotionless and they're like, look, honestly, we just wanted you here because we're going to offer you up to the devil. We're an indie band. Do you know how hard it is nowadays to become famous?
Make it as an indie band.
Like, unless you create a single that's put in a movie, you won't make it. So they're like, that's honestly all we want. The guy, like, even plays with the way that they're about to stab her.
He's telling her, like, in so much detail what's going to happen. He's loving it.
That was, like, weird to me when he's like, do you want to be a loser or do you want to be Maroon 5?
Oh my god.
Yes.
And I'm like, same
he's
thing.
telling, because there's one band member only. I don't think we should do this. You want to be a loser, you want to be the Maroon 5 dude, and it's like, shit.
Not
Like,
a fan.
That's all it took to convince
His
you.
voice is
Like,
annoying.
Adam Levine.
I like early Maroon 5.
So is the guy from Fall Out Boy, just saying.
Oh yeah, Eric hates Fall Out Boy and he hates Brendan Urie.
I like early
you hate
Fall Out Boy.
Brendan Urie?
I like early Panic at the Disco.
Just saying.
Maroon 5 played at the Super Bowl, and they were like,
Panic at the Disco has a song on the soundtrack.
The most popular song on the soundtrack. That really
Other than Through the Trees.
Fuck that song.
I hate it.
New Perspective is what makes people think of Jennifer's body, not Through the Trees.
So they're about to stab her, and then they start singing a song.
Chinese Girl. It's a play on Jesse's Girl.
This is all a flashback. In present day, Jennifer is telling Anita what happened to her. She's trying to reassure her almost and being like, it's okay though because I lived. Needy is like, but what if you didn't? What if you died? Jennifer's like, bitch, please. I'm right here in front of you. Watch me cut my arm. She cuts it. It heals right in front of Needy's eyes. Jennifer tells her, like, when I'm hungry, I need to go for these boys. I need to drink their blood. When I'm full, I'm beautiful again. My hair is full, my skin's clear, whatever. But when I'm hungry, quote unquote, I'm ugly. And so that's what confirms it for us. Oh, okay, it's after she commits these murders that she's beautiful all of a sudden again.
Do you think that's a commentary on her only feeling powerful when she's beautiful?
Absolutely. I feel like this scene is very loaded.
When
She's
she has
literally
control
taking
back.
her power
Mm-hmm.
from men, which is probably why men don't like this movie. And there's the whole fact that she feels like her value's tied to how she appears.
Mm.
But then there's the I'm almost unkillable thing.
Mm.
And I think there's something very interesting about when she says, I was murdered, but then I remember making my way back to you, commenting on how, like, her most important relationship was her relationship to Needy. She had so many, like, insecurities and she treated her badly, but at the end of the day, that's who she wanted to return to.
That's when we get the story of how she also ate Ahmed, who survived the bar somehow, even though the roof fell on him.
Yeah.
Apparently he escaped, and Jennifer runs into him afterwards. Unfortunately, he has a not-so-happy ending.
Needy kind of just has it at this point, right? And she's like, you're nuts. Get out of here. And so Jennifer takes a lot of offense to that. She's like, fine, I'm out. She climbs out the window, and when Needy looks out of it, she's gone. She just poof, disappears.
This is a reference to Halloween, when Michael gets shot out the window,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they go to see where his body is, and it's gone.
Ah.
I think it is, at least. Needy takes this time to go to her local school library and research the occult.
Mhm.
I don't think my high school had an occult section. I could be wrong.
Chip asks her, like, we have an occult section?
And she's like, it's very small.
She starts seeing the stuff about, like, demon possession, and she's like, you can kill someone who's got a demon in them. She also finds out that in that ritual, what can happen if you don't have a virgin, the person could survive and get some of that power.
Yes, because it's an impure sacrifice. She
And
finds
the
out.
demon will take possession of the sacrifice's body.
The ritual will also succeed, so the people who are looking to get the ritual to give them power will also still get that power.
And
Whereas-
this is why you don't mess with witchcraft unless you know what
Because you
you're
don't
doing.
know for sure. Had Jennifer been a virgin, it would have gone exactly as she had planned. Jennifer would have died.
I will say that there is a law in occult practices that whatever you do unto others comes back to you threefold, which kind of
Yes.
will play at the end.
We were thinking about this recently when we went to the Sleepy Hollow event. They allowed you to put curses on people. They had a book. You could rip the pages out and you could write a curse. There were people who were like serious about it. There was somebody who like was like, fuck my old boss. People who were like, fuck that bitch Jenny. Just
Yeah.
random things, you know? I
Yeah.
cursed Vivi with 100 birthdays, so we'll have that many episodes. You know?
So, you know,
Yeah.
127.
I'm turning 28.
Oh, yeah, so 127 birthdays.
By the time this episode's out, it's already been your birthday.
It's my actual birthday when this episode is released, right?
Yeah.
It's my bonus birthday episode.
Happy birthday to Vivi.
But Needy, after finding out all this stuff at the library,
She tries to warn Chip.
she's telling him, like, don't go to this dance because everyone has been in the background while all this has been happening, preparing themselves for the spring formal. I wish our school was like this because we didn't have super cool spring formals. I've always wanted to live in a TV/movie world where shit was fun.
I will
Unlike
say
what we
that I
did.
think that teenage experience, the teenage dream, is super overplayed. Because say we did have dances like this, it would have been awkward.
I mean,
There still would have
yeah.
been drama.
But it must have been cool.
Listen, I have stories from our high school homecoming
Okay.
that sound very much like this movie.
Okay.
Okay.
Was the background at least cool?
No,
That's why. You could have at least said
the background was drama.
Yes.
But she's warning Chip to not go because she's like, it's going to be an all-you-can-eat buffet. She's going to kill everybody. And
Yes.
Chip's like, the hell? This is my favorite thing, though. I already got you a corsage.
Chip just cares about going to the dance with his girlfriend. And
Yeah.
so Needy dumps him. She's like, trying to protect him from Jennifer. And she's like, the only way I know how to protect you is by us not being together. If she no longer sees you as a threat, maybe she won't come after you. Maybe.
What I didn't understand was, okay, she's got this demon power. She has to eat to continue to have the power.
To be beautiful.
Limitless, right? But then when the dance is going to happen, Needy's like, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's like, she doesn't have to eat a lot. She just has to eat some.
One person.
Yeah. So I don't know
Keep
why
them on
Needy's
ice.
so... Yeah, right. She's gonna kill the whole high school and not get found. You know? It seems like Jennifer was being smart about the way she was doing these killings. Because even when she takes out Matt, she's like, "Does your family know you're gone? Does anybody else know you're alive?" She's being careful. She's not just picking and choosing in a dumb way. All right, so Chip is getting ready for the dance, and his mom's like, "Here's this pepper spray," and he's like, "I don't need this." And she's like, "There's a killer out there." He's like, "I've been doing the Bowflex."
She's looking at him like, "Dude, you need this pepper spray."
Yeah.
What I think is funny is usually when this montage happens in movies, the nerdy girl becomes the pretty girl, and they keep Amanda looking how she's looked the entire movie. I like that they don't do like a montage,
a dramatic makeover,
when obviously it's the nerdy girl who was very clearly a very nice looking person in the beginning. Just because she has glasses, she's ugly. I hate that trope so much.
Do you think that they gave her a puffy dress though to still be like she's nerdy?
I thought it was very strange because it was a very 80s dress, and Jennifer is not even wearing a better dress. She's wearing a very early 2000s, did not age well dress. It looks like a goth wedding dress.
I think both dresses were to the style of the times. Yeah.
But they're at this badass dance that I wish I could go to. Needy's looking for Jen.
You want to go to a high school dance?
I don't want to go to a high school dance. I just want to go to a theme dance.
We just need to have a house where we can throw these theme parties.
But Needy's been waiting for Jen to show up.
What I found very interesting about the interaction between Jennifer and Chip is that Jennifer basically tells Chip she knows she has to lie to him and say that Needy has been cheating on you with Colin, and that's why she was very upset at his funeral. I'm going to take this chance to say that I've always had a crush on you as well.
They're outside of the school this whole time. They're like in the courtyard, by the trees, and...
Through the trees, if you will.
Oh, yeah. And so Chip is obviously devastated, and Jennifer, taking advantage of him in this vulnerable state, she goes in for the kill, right? She starts kissing him. The phrase fits very well, going in for the kill. And he's not saying no. He kisses her back.
And this is the part that I found very interesting that you should analyze in their relationship. She tells Chip, "Tell me I'm better than Needy."
While they're
He's
kissing.
like, "What is wrong with you?"
Showing her insecurity. And while she's always felt this need to assert dominance over Needy for a reason, right? It's because she's always been jealous of her. And this is where it really comes to light. While Jennifer's kissing Chip and Needy's listening to the band play through the trees, she drops her glass of punch and she touches her lips because she knows what's happening. She gasps and she runs out of the dance to go and rescue Chip because she knows what's about to go down.
I feel like I pointed this out and Eric was like, "No, she took off her heels." Because I hate that trope of like women running in heels. I can't even walk in heels. Maybe it's a personal vendetta that I have. But I hate the trope of like running in heels. But she does run out to, I think it's like a park.
Yeah, it's big as hell. It's open.
Huge.
It's huge. Yeah. And then there's like an abandoned public pool, which is where the final showdown happens.
I love this part. But right before she's about to approach this public pool, she stops because she sees the $12 corsage that Chip got her for the dance. She kneels over it, and it's the perfect shade of pink that matches her dress. She's looking at this corsage like, oh, damn, whatever. And then she hears Chip scream, and that kind of breaks her out of the trance.
The part that I find super funny about this is that he's like, "I paid $12 for your corsage."
But for high school, oh, it's so much.
$12 is so much.
I thought
money.
it was so cute. I remember my high school prom, my high school sweetheart at the time. Sorry, we went to different high schools. So obviously the assumption was he would come to my prom, I would go to his. The money was such a big deal. Like, he was working at Wendy's. I think my prom cost $75 per ticket. And it was such a big deal because he was like, I'm going to go to your prom. I'll pay the $75 because it means a lot to you. And I was like, what about yours? And he was like, that's $50. Like, babe, like, that's so expensive, you know? And so a $12 corsage is a big deal. Every dollar counts when you're in high school.
It really does. If you are a person who comes from a low income neighborhood,
It is,
like we were.
yes.
Prom was
All of us were.
a very big deal. Oh my god, I could probably do a whole episode about how prom is like this whole teenage dream, and it's very overhyped.
Yeah. We were all from the south side of Chicago, guys. Like, it was rough out here. We didn't have the money to splurge, and so...
Your parents don't have the money to splurge.
Exactly.
Because I'm so lame. I married my prom date from high school.
I didn't.
I still have my prom corsage
Oh, yeah.
that someone gave me. It's literally sitting right here in the studio. It's now sitting next to Erick's wedding boutonniere because it's from the same person.
That's so cute.
Because I'm so lame.
It's so
I
cute.
married the same person.
I know.
Yeah.
I always tell Enrique, like, why didn't you ask me to prom? And he's like, I know you. And I'm like, that's no excuse.
So Jennifer has led Chip to this kind of weird abandoned public pool. It's funny because Jennifer is saying, I feel so empty inside because she's hungry.
Mm-hmm.
But Chip is saying that he feels empty inside because Needy just broke up with him and he's going through something.
Different kind of empty.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like, well, let's make out some more and we'll feel better. This is where Chip decides that it's no longer okay to make out with Jennifer, but
He's
it was...
been making out with her this whole time. Okay, look, I guess if we want to say that Chip's like an asshole because he was kissing her anyway, he's in a vulnerable state.
She
Like,
took advantage of that.
Yeah. When Chip's like, I don't want to kiss anymore, get away from me, she throws him in the pool and is like, alright, fuck it, I'm just going to do this the old-fashioned way.
Because she doesn't cope with rejection well. Needy finds Jennifer has taken a big chunk out of Chip's neck.
You're thinking he's dead, but he's
You would
not.
think so. She jumps into the pool immediately to kind of fight off Jennifer.
And they have this interchange of like, fuck you, no fuck you, nah fuck you, nah fuck you. And then she pepper sprays her.
That's what kind of throws her off balance.
Yeah, that's when she starts levitating.
She can't fucking fly, she's just levitating. Like
It's
a
not that
loser.
impressive. And she was like, God, you have to undermine everything I do. Which is such a line that I feel like, ugh, you feel that when you have girlfriends or anything.
It really reinforces how insecure he is.
Yeah, even though this film follows Needy, and though you could say they edited it to make it so that Megan Fox's character was more prominent, I feel there was layers to her character that we were not getting. And you get it in lines like this. So even though Needy probably feels like she's the victim in their relationship, there's a part of Jennifer that also feels like she's the victim in their relationship as well. It's just complicated from the get-go. So they have this very telling confrontation where they're just kind of like yelling truths at each other. I think Yessi mentioned it earlier when she was like, God, did you have to go after Chip? Was it just to get under my skin? Jennifer is like, I could have anyone I want. It doesn't have to be about you. And it's very much like, you're no longer relevant. You had to take laxative just to be skinny again. Very, very teenage girl problems that I do not miss at all.
You haven't been socially relevant since the ball 2 years ago.
Which, like, who cares? This is very telling of their relationship. Unexpectedly, Chip just stabs Jennifer.
With a random pole?
That thing looked thick, though. That's a thick pool cleaning net.
It's very weird. She's, like, moaning, and she's like, got a tampon?
I love that line. Because I think, okay, when she's levitating and she's talking all this shit, Needy calls her a jerk. I love this line where she's like, nice comeback, Hannah Montana. Got any more Hirsch digs?
What a generational show.
Yeah, I used to watch this shit.
Oh my god.
Chip's dying.
He literally uses his last bit of energy to stab Jennifer with this pool cleaning net.
And Jen leaves. And he's like, no.
I don't think I even wrote any quotes down. I was just like, yeah, very touching. Like,
Super touching.
Whatever.
All he says is like, you look beautiful in that dress. And she's like, you're clearly delusional.
And he's like,
And then he dies.
It's cute, but honestly, which I think what the whole film is getting at,
That's literally Chip dying forever.
Chip dying, is that Needy and Jennifer's relationship has way more depth than Chip and Needy's.
Which we get in these kind of final scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It's reverted back to the beginning of the movie where Jen is watching that infomercial.
She's like circling boys in the yearbook that she wants to eat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right,
Yum.
yum.
He shows up to the window and attacks her.
My tit. That's literally her last words. Okay. Needy breaks into her room with a box cutter.
I didn't even know why she put it out. She's like, you know what this is? It's a box cutter. And it's like, okay. Nice. Yeah.
I know, again, very telling of the times. Jennifer,
Vagina reference.
she goes, very butch of you to steal your murder weapon from Home Depot. Again, another one of those lines that's like unnecessary, just like the lesbian thing.
Jennifer bites Needy. That's where she gets the powers in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer is hovering. They have the fight in midair, and it's not until Needy rips off her BFF necklace that has been referenced throughout the film that Jennifer kind of collapses. She stops fighting her.
She becomes immobile when she rips this BFF necklace off of her.
Which again, I think comments on the complexity of their relationship, where it's possible that her relationship to Needy was the only thing keeping her human at this point. And when Needy broke off that tie is when she's like no longer willing to fight. Needy pretty much lands on her, stabbing her in the heart.
I'm sorry, I took a film theory class in college and I think I'm the shit. But
Don't we all?
I know, right? But when we focus on the language of it, it's so interesting how Jennifer undermines it. And she's like, you hit my tit. And I think throughout the whole film, we see Jennifer undermining a whole lot of the shit that's going down. But for the first time, not for the first time, but maybe the first time that it sinks in for Jennifer is when Needy tells her, like, nah, it's not just your tit, sis. Like, I stabbed your heart. And that's when Jennifer's like, fuck, I'm dead.
I'm dead. And again, I hate to take it back to this, but then I also don't hate to take it back to this because this is a female director. She did this on purpose. I think it comments on how women constantly have to underline their feelings and never say what they actually feel. So I think she knew what she was doing. I have to downplay it and just almost even like laugh it off to be like, oh, you stabbed my tit. Correction, it's a big deal. Like, Jennifer obviously dies after being stabbed in the heart. We get this scene where Jennifer's mother walks in on the murder scene.
Who we see for the first time.
Literally not
in this whole film.
I always think about these teenager movies when their parents are never around.
Yeah, you see that in animes all the time. Yeah. They're just like going out and about without their parents caring.
And let me say, this is very much not a person of color family, because a person of color family, your parents would be so involved in your life.
You fart and they're like, why?
Why? Why did you fart?
Dude, right from the fire, they wouldn't have like let her out of the house.
No. They would have beat your ass for being there.
I don't know why. Maybe you didn't.
Who told you to go?
Exactly.
You didn't tell me you were going to be there.
Why were you a part of this tragedy?
You started the fire, didn't you? You asshole.
You did it.
Don't tell them that you did it.
Oh my god, but
you should have been burnt in the fire because I'm gonna kick your ass worse.
Honestly, that's Mexican parents for you.
But that's not what happened.
That's not what happened in this movie, obviously.
Yes.
So her mother walks in on the murder scene. It's very strange because her mother's grieving Jennifer, but Needy's like freaking out after what happened. She saw the murder. She's still there. Yeah, the next scene is her being in the mental institution. Like, she talks about how being bitten by Jennifer is probably the luckiest thing that happened to her because she got demon transference of power. She is actually meditating and floating. She is in solitary and she has reached the window and kicks it down because she's the kicker. And that is how she escapes the mental institution.
We get a pretty feel-good ending. She walks in on the end of the, what would you call it? If it was the Devil's Kittle's mouth, it's like the Devil's Kittle's butthole.
She's walking out of town.
Because
the Devil's Kittle's butthole.
And the knife are here now. And she just walks on it, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
The cops should have found this because all she did was just walk out of town. But she finds the knife.
The murder weapon that was used on Jennifer, so it's very poetic.
She's walking this road, this really creepy old man. He comes off creepy, but then he just, like, I guess, takes her.
We don't know because she's also part demon, so if he tried anything creepy on her,
She wouldn't have let that happen.
Very reminiscent of the time of like the 70s and 80s when hitchhiking was popular, but it was very dangerous and you ran the risk of running into serial killers.
Yeah, she tells the guy, I'm heading east because I'm following
Yes.
the
He's like, must be some hell of a band. And she's like, oh, it's going to be their last show tonight.
Yes, the end credits literally show Low Shoulder partying it up in their hotel room while they're on their national tour, apparently.
They're balling because they got all kinds of fancy clothes and jewelry on.
Yeah, and they're doing all these drugs and
the hotel is very
what have you. And then Needy shows up. It's this montage of photographs that you're seeing, right? So the first set of photographs is like, woo, we're partying.
You're doing like a vlog.
Yes. And then the next set is literally just blood on the door, blood in the bathtub, these dudes lying dead. Crime scene photos. The viewer already knows, like, oh, that was Needy. She was here. But to solidify it, at the very end, the last thing you see is this security camera footage, and it stops on this still of Needy in a hoodie, just as she was in the opening scene of Jennifer's window, walking down that hallway of that hotel room.
As a bunch of groupies go and discover the dead body.
Yeah, because they scream, right?
Absolutely.
They scream.
And, oh my god, they're in here, you know, and I just love it because even at the end of everything, while we're in Needy's bedroom in this mental institution, she has this framed photo of Chip, but her very last action, right, is this sort of redemption arc for Jennifer.
It just goes to show you how deep female relationships go, where even though they were kind of bad for each other or not the best because they were teens, at the end of the day, her mindset is revenge for Jennifer. And I think that would kind of bring this into the good for her genre of horror films. I don't know if it's talked about when we talk about that genre because it's fairly new, but her best friend does end up getting revenge for Jennifer. And it's kind of also this awakening for Needy where she's no longer the victim of her relationships and takes control of herself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to vote for it for being a good for her genre of horror films.
Not good for Jen.
Not good for Jen.
No.
Good for Needy.
Not good for Chip either.
Not good for Jen. No.
Although, I guess I take that back. For Jen, it was cool because she definitely accepted her power.
I think at heart she was always an alpha for sure. But I don't know. I think it goes to show these deeper dynamics of their relationships because she loved Needy so much. But at the same time, it's like she was insecure in her presence because she knew how deep down, if Needy had just recognized what she was capable of, Jennifer would easily be the quote-unquote weaker of the two. Yeah, the weaker link. I do agree with Vivi in the sense that it's almost good for both of them. I think Chip's kind of the main loser. That's sad to say, but the only one that didn't really get justice in this film. But
because Needy kills Jennifer for Chip, but also Chip was the side character in this film. And I could see why that upset male audiences at the time.
Yeah.
Not to say that now male audiences couldn't watch this film and recognize
and appreciate it.
Yeah. But it definitely has a cult following.
That's what I'm saying, Megan Fox resurgence. Because this sort of stuff is being recognized now, and I'm here for it. I'm so here for it.
So, having seen the movie, what do you guys rate it?
Oh my god. Shoot. I don't think it was scary at all.
It was not that scary.
It wasn't scary. But I love the underlying theme, so I'm gonna give it 8.5. 8.5 out of 10. I really like it.
I definitely think watching this film, being older and recognizing that the first line is hell is being a teenage girl.
Yes.
I would never go back to this time period in my life. But I feel
know.
It encapsulates it very well.
I feel like at 17, I would have been because that was the age I was when I first saw this movie, I would have been how dramatic.
Whatever.
But now I look back at it and I'm no, 17 is very dramatic. So
it is. I want to give it a 9. Because I don't feel like there's a lot of horror movies that I've seen yet that capture this kind of time period. I think Ginger Snaps is a film that maybe covers the same. I haven't seen that movie in years, so I don't remember. But that whole puberty as being like a monster theme. We didn't even touch on that, on how puberty is considered like the monstrosity in people. I don't know. I think it's very underrated for the time that it was released. Some of the jokes are outdated, not very woke.
Yeah, no, not at all. But
the themes are great, so I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
as the dude in the show, what would you rate it, Eric?
I wasn't scared at all.
At all.
No. But it is good. I'd still give it like maybe a 7.5. 7.5.
That's still way higher than the IMDb rating.
Oh,
It was good. I think the dialogue was bad. But it's campy. The scary part is this can happen in real life. Like we said, we found that there's a real life true crime story that is of this nature and people are trash.
The moral of the story is that everyone is trash.
Unfortunately, Enrique had to leave a little earlier, so he can't give his own
You
rating.
know what? We'll text him and then maybe me and Eric will add his rating later.
Oh, that would be good. Yes. Because I think the multiple perspectives would be good for this type of film. Yeah, keep it balanced.
I don't want to say that's 7.5 because I'm a dude. It's not like
I think it's
cool.
No, I think that's a fairly high rating for
I agree with you that some of the dialogue is outdated and it's not super scary.
trying to be clueless.
I think female horror is so rare, so it's good to see. While we were watching this, what scared Loki?
I don't think he was necessarily scared by anything. He was more worried about the fact that there were so many people in the house not paying attention to him, and he was like, what the heck?
He loves Yessi and Enrique, though.
Yeah, he gets so excited. But the crickets in the movie were also what was catching his attention. Always crickets.
If you've listened to us all the way to this point, you know that nature sounds and loud sounds are what scares Loki.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about it, Loki? Alright, I'm sorry. I don't think we're gonna stop watching these movies anytime soon.
Actually, what kept him busy while we were watching it was, it's Halloween season, so there's haunted and Halloween chews, so we got him a tombstone chew. We'll post him chewing on it. Well,
Are we pretty much done here?
I think so. Yessi.
Alright.
Plug?
Yes, I have an Instagram. I am a wannabe influencer, I think. I tried starting like a makeup Instagram last summer. That didn't work out because I really just want to rant and like tell people about my life. So you can follow me on Instagram at yesenia.b. That's YESSENIA.B. Remember that double A. That's important. AA.B. Yeah. And I would love to have you guys on there. I'm the queen of oversharing. I love it. So if you enjoyed me at all on this podcast, I think I got more comfortable as it went on. Shout out to the 9/11 tribute shot. But thank you so much, Vivi and Eric, for having me. I love these guys. They're the bestest sister and brother-in-law I could ever ask for. And of course, Enrique, the bestest boyfriend I could ever ask for. So,
It's set in stone now. It's recorded.
Yeah.
oh shoot, set in stone. So follow me, guys. Maybe we'll be able to
Come back.
come back and see if me and Enrique get married.
No pressure.
No pressure, babe. But yeah, so hopefully I see some of you guys on there. So thank you so much for welcoming me, guys. It was fun.
We'll be happy to have you on again.
We link everyone's accounts in the shout outs, so go ahead and check that out. But are we pretty much done here?
Yeah, let's go.
Alright, as always, we hope you guys had a good time here with us. You can follow us pretty much anywhere at Shaken Not Scared Pod, except Twitter. We are Shaken Scared Pod. You can send us an email at shakennotScaredPod@gmail.com.
You can support the show on Patreon. We'll name our next drink after you with mentions on our website where the drink page will live forever. You can listen to us on all your favorite podcasting sites, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, a bunch of others. Give us a listen, give us a follow, throw Loki a treat. It's still time to throw him pumpkin treats.
It is. Be sure to like, rate, review us, and okay, thanks, bye.
Bye!
Bye.